Hello everyone, I'm working today on a brand new start. This is a design which I started a couple of weeks ago, and as you can see I've already got a few hundred stitches in there already. This particular chart is a heaven and earth design, and the artwork is by Jen Delyth, Celtic Designs. And just look at this phenomenal web of vibrant colours. Isn't it gorgeous? I've been staring at this particular pattern for weeks now, and I just can't get it out of my head how much I love this particular pattern. And it just keeps drawing me in every time I look at it. So I'm going to do a bit more stitching now. I was doing a little bit this morning, but then I got into a little bit of a rush. I had some errands I had to do, and I was kind of running around, so I had to stop. So I thought, would I come back and do a little bit more stitching and maybe share this special stitching time with you. So let's see where we are. I like to move my threads out of the way because I do a lot of parking, and so I have to sort of be on top of them all the time so they don't get too tangled. And I'm working in squares at the moment. I'm finding that the easiest way, and I'm not doing the row by row method that I usually do. I've sort of changed it a bit now, and my theme is to just work from the bottom up in each individual square. That's probably the easiest way to explain it. And the thing with this design is it was kind of tricky because, as you can see, it's not a straight edge. It's got those kind of curly bits, and there are stitches missing. So that was really kind of mess with your head a little bit when you're used to just doing straightforward squares and not having to leave off some of the stitches at the edges. So I had to be a little bit careful around that point. But I fell in love with this because I just saw these colours and they just spoke to me so much. I mean, the whole chart reminds me of like a tropical reef or a blue lagoon or something like that. And these colours are just so amazing. And when I was kitting them up and I was putting them all together, I was thinking, I know I'm really going to enjoy this one, and it's going to have such a different feel compared to the other charts that I'm doing, because I think this one in particular is a pattern that, because of its intricate weaving and designs, it's kind of a pattern which will make you think about the actual design as you're stitching it, and it kind of draws you more in a deeper way because of the fact that it's got this interesting kind of layout. It's just really quite interesting. And on the website, she says something about the design being a symbol for the interconnection of all living things. And I love that because we are all interconnected. And, interpreting these things through art is really quite interesting. So, yeah, it's a challenge. It's going to be a challenge to do this one as well because of the many variations in styles. But I'm enjoying it and I'm loving the colours. So I'm hoping to get this one into my rotation, and I'm really looking forward to getting more of it done. So this working from the bottom upwards has actually been going really well, because I'm finding that by using the part thread that's the lowest down in these squares prevents me from getting it tangled with all the others. Because before, when I was working the part threads from the top down, I was having to kind of get in between them all to try and get to my stitch. But now, because I'm working on the lowest one, there are no stitches to do above it. So, well, not generally anyway, maybe on the same row, but not higher up. So it's kind of easier to maneuver around with the thread. So, what's been happening in my world in the last while? Well, something interesting. Over the weekend, I had my second vaccination, and I was kind of anxious about that. I don't know why. I was kind of fine with the first one, but the second one made me anxious, and I don't really know. I just thought because I had hardly any symptoms with the first one, apart from just a bit of tiredness, I was fully expecting, to be struck by lightning with this second vaccination. And so it was almost like as soon as the nurse injected me, I was just sitting waiting for something to happen. It was ridiculous. And I was trying to distract myself constantly, but I had this kind of alertness to every single twitch and tingle in my body and everything that was going on. I was super alert about it, just kind of waiting for something to happen. And I just couldn't shake it off. And it was really making me anxious. And I said to my husband, it's ridiculous. I should just get on with stuff and not be waiting for a symptom. And then I was getting the more time that went on that I wasn't feeling any symptoms, any side effects, the more alert I became because I thought, God, something's got to happen now. I mean, it's been 7 hours since I had the injection. Maybe it's just taking its time. So it was really getting ridiculous, to be honest. And by the time the next day came and I'd had no side effects, I started to relax a little bit, and it was, that edge of alertness was starting to wear off. And then all of a sudden I went for a walk and I got like struck by a very mild tension headache. And I thought, oh no, could this be it? Could this be the start of something? Please, God, I do not want to be sick. But lo and behold, I was fine, except for the fact that I was feeling tired again. And I think that's kind of what happened to me the first time. So, blessings and thanks to God, I didn't get any severe symptoms or anything like that, which is always a good thing. But it really was a bit ridiculous sitting there waiting for something to happen. And I can admit that that was a bit crazy. But, I feel fine, and please God, everything will continue that way. The whole thing isn't very pleasant, but it's a great thing, and it's something that we should be thankful for, that we can actually have these things to protect us. And this colour's going really well. I love this. It's really dark navy. I love the contrast between these browns, sort of like green, like olive greens and other kind of light browns. They really kind of blend well together. This is really blended very well. I couldn't change this pattern if I wanted to because I would find it really tricky because of the fact that there's so much dithering and blending of colours, and it would be really hard to change it in any form, I think. And there's this sort of like big ball of black in the centre, which is supposed to represent the tree. And it's quite stunning the way that black contrasts all these surrounding aquamarine colours. I really think this pattern's going to grow on me as I continue with it. I think it's the kind of pattern that you want to dive into and explore. And for me, it's kind of a first because I never really do patterns that have intricate sort of designs. And I know that there are some which are quite popular at the moment, like the long dog samplers, and there's peppermint purple and others that I could mention that are really quite popular at the moment. And, I'm thinking maybe one day I'd like to give some of those a go. But I've never really done an intricate design before. This is my first attempt at doing something that features this kind of design. So it's a nice contrast again to the other ones that I'm doing, which are all different again. So I like to do different things to challenge myself in different ways. And I also didn't want to risk it by not having a gridded fabric, because even though I can grid it myself using a pen, it's just so much easier to have it there already, and it's easier for me to count. So I've no idea how long this pattern is going to take me to finish. I've no set timetable or schedule for this particular pattern. This pattern is just going to be another as and when I feel like doing it, and it doesn't really matter how long it takes. And it's not very big. It's actually 300, approximately 300 by 300 stitches. So it'll work out on my 25 count at about 13 by 13 inches, which isn't very big at all, because I'm highly aware of the fact that I have two regular charts that I'm simultaneously working on, and they're going to take a long time. And now that I've slipped this one in a little crack in my stitching life, I don't know how long it's going to take me, or how often I'm going to be doing it. Sometimes I think I'd like to devote an entire week for each chart, but then I often find myself just switching randomly. So it's a little bit topsy-turvy. I can't seem to stick to a set plan. So it's okay. It's okay just to do, whichever one I feel like I want to do. And there is also another few that I have seen that I'd like, and I'm thinking, no, do not start, do not even think about starting them. But I think I'm going to, just the whole temptation of this is it just gets too much. I like to say that when I get to about 50% on a chart, and it's not going to take me 10 years to do, I could start another one. I just love the contrast of this blue against the dark blue there. That's just such a great way to make something stand out. And I think there's kind of like a little fishy emblem here or something. And a bird, and I can not recognize some of these things, but they're really interesting to look at. And the first thing I got excited about when I saw this design was the colours. Compared to everything else, it was the colours that really struck me first. And then I looked at more detail, and I've spent ages staring at the little details and, just interpreting them in my own way. It's really, really good to be able to look at something and have it speak to you in an undefined way that you can really articulate, that that it means something to you. I wonder if you've ever looked at a chart and felt something similar, or you've seen something and it kind of just speaks to you, gives you a certain feeling or an emotion, reminds you about an event or something in the past, or even maybe reminds you of a person. So I'm on a roll today with my stitching. I really thought it was going to be a little more awkward, but today's a good day. And normally I do about an hour and a half, or about, let's say, roughly an hour, and then I take a break of approximately half an hour, and I have a cup of tea, maybe a biscuit with my cup of tea, maybe 2, and then I come back and do a little bit more, and then I kind of break it off to do other errands. So I'm a little bit sort of the stitcher that comes and goes. I don't sit down for long periods, partly because my bottom gets numb as well if I sit for too long, and I like to be quite active. So I've been going for long walks and really kind of trying to find myself again after this lockdown, where everybody's, well, not everybody, but a lot of people have just gone crazy and they've all just rushed out there, you know, and I can't say I blame them. They just want to get on with life and do all the stuff that they haven't been able to do. And it's kind of pushed me back a little because I'm the cautious one. But I have been slowly going out there and finding my feet again and picking up the pace a bit more. So that might impact some of my stitching time as well. The fact that it's now summer and I'm enjoying the good weather, which we don't get too much of here in the UK, but it's been absolutely lovely in the past week or so, because before that we had some really heavy rains. So this weather's been great, and even though it's kind of humid today, it's still really mild. So I've been going around in like my strappy top and kind of enjoying that Mediterranean feeling that I'm having here in Scotland at the moment. But what is surprising is the way the weather changes so quickly. One minute it's really nice, and the next minute you can see like a storm clouds coming towards you. And also sometimes it's hot, and then all of a sudden the air pressure changes and you get like a tension headache. It's really strange the way things can turn around so quickly. Just getting to the bottom of this square, trying not to let my Needleminders get too much in the way. Nearly there with this square that I'm doing. I think that having a big block of colour like this makes it just go so much quicker. Might as well do that stitch. Oh, there's a few more stitches along here. So it's easier to see with the grid where the bottom of the square is, whereas if I didn't have the grid here, I would be having to count my rows to see where the bottom is to make sure that it's all lining up. And just need to park it. So I've been quite lucky that my threads haven't been getting tangled at all while I've been pushing them to one side, and the Needleminders are really useful for kind of helping support them. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Nice big chunk done. I think I'm going to go up this way now. This is a beautiful colour. There are so many different blues and greens in this, I couldn't even name them. And don't you sometimes wish you could just keep going and you don't have all the distractions of life to tear you away from your stitching? And I know that some people get frustrated because they have to keep going to work and they have to keep doing the housework and they have to do this and they have to do that, and it's just, oh, and all they want to do is stitch. It's incredibly frustrating. And then there's other times when you just kind of lose your stitching mojo, even if you've got plenty of time. Like I think one time I was working on Bewitched and I was doing Bewitched for about 3 weeks continuously, had all the time in the world. And then one day I woke up and I thought, if I look at it, I'm just going to scream. And I couldn't even bring my head around taking it out of my project box and working on it, because I think I'd overdone it just a little bit. And that's why I think sometimes having that rotation helps, because it gives you something different to look at every time you rotate a piece. And if you have a little break from something, it's kind of nice when you get back to it again. It's all fresh again for your eyes, a fresh visual aspect. But some people like to work continuously on the same one until the very end, and that's great. But I do remember that time with Bewitched when I just wanted to kind of fling it across the room and say, I never want to see this again. I didn't think I was ever going to finish it. I think there was even a period of like 2 weeks where I didn't even look at it. And then I just waited for that mojo to come back, and it did. So, sometimes you kind of just have to trust yourself that things will return. What I find really frustrating more than anything is when you want to work on 2 pieces at the same time and you just want to be doing both of them, or even more than 2. So how do you get your head around that? Honestly, that is frustrating. Gosh, this is going incredibly smoothly. Oh, no, that's not the right place, is it? Yes. Just 1 stitch there. One below. Wasn't exactly sure I was in the right place there for a second. Just going to fill in a couple of little gaps now. So I was asked this week, how do I get all my lovely stitches in a row? Well, that's because all my parked threads in a nice little row below. Well, that's because I'm working in squares. So as I'm doing all these squares along and I'm parking below, it kind of looks like a line. They're not all on the same line, but it kind of appears that way. So they're all parked there at the bottom and just waiting for me to pick them up again when I get down to that section. It's really kind of useful like that. I haven't even dropped my needle today, which is a miracle. So there's still going to be a lot of blues and greens to get into before I venture into that inner circle, that beautiful black tree that's all intertwined in the centre. So I've still got a lot of these beautiful colours to get through. before I get down to there. I may just make a little start on this upper square. Trying to figure out where my first thread, this one here. And I have to say, Pattern Keeper's doing a great job of keeping me in check with my symbols and my colours, and it's doing a great job of keeping everything in order, because I think without the Pattern Keeper I would just lose my mind. There's so much counting to be done when you have a paper chart, and you can't just automatically have all these symbols highlighted for you, that because they get all highlighted in the Pattern Keeper, it just helps you so much. And like so many people have said, it's a complete game changer to have Pattern Keeper when you're doing these kind of intricate designs. So it's no surprise I chose this chart, to be honest, because blue is my favourite colour, and I've seen another chart that I love, and it's by Vincent Fleming, that's the artist, and it's called Grandparents and Fireflies. And oh my, the colours on that, purpley greens, absolutely divine. And I think that might be my next start, if all things go well and I manage to get a finish on any of my projects. That is definitely one that's in the running at the moment. I may change my mind, I don't know about that, but it's definitely in the running. So we'll just have to wait and see which one gets a finish first, and then I can maybe start kitting that one up. I do know that when Halloween comes, I'm going to get back to doing my Jack and Sally, the Nightmare Before Christmas chart, which I designed myself, and I only bring that one out at Halloween. So that's my Halloween for the whole month of October. I work on that chart, and then I'm thinking about what I'm going to be doing for the Christmas period. I don't think I want to start a new chart at Christmas, or if I've worked one enough, I might be able to start the Vincent Fleming chart at Christmas. There's just so many possibilities. I really want to get a bit more done on my Melody of the Night, which is by Artesi, and I just need more time. I need more time. I need more arms. I need more fingers, and that would just be the solution completely. What's happening here with my colours? They're getting into a bit of a tangle. No, is that the right? Oh, a bit mixed up. That's that stitch. Sometimes when you get two colours or two shades that are very similar, you wonder if you've parked them in the right place. This blending here is looking lovely. The way the blues are going into the yellows now. I'm just enjoying every single stitch of this chart. I think I'm going to have to definitely frame this one when it's finished. I don't know where I might hang it now, because I have quite a few pictures up on the wall. So I'm going to have to find a designated spot for this one where it really shows off the colours, because the light can hit the room in different ways, and you'll find that it looks better in some parts of the room than in others, depending where the light's hitting. I'm thinking it's looking really kind of like glossy, like silky as well. I don't know why, but maybe it's just the way the light is hitting it. But to me, it looks more than other charts, other patterns that I'm doing. It's kind of really shiny. Don't know how that is. It's the same DMC. Maybe it's just the way the colours are blending together, the way the light is hitting them. And I'm not complaining about it because I think it looks great. Just don't want to make a mistake on these blues because the shades are sort of very close. I think I want to just carry on working with this one for the rest of the weekend. So everybody vote now. Which one do you think I should work on for the rest of this weekend? I would just like a popular vote, please. That will help me decide. Just put your vote in the comments below and I will count them up and then I will see which one gets the most votes. That's the one I will work on for the rest of the weekend. How about that? Just make the decision for me. And just a few more stitches under here. Oh, 1, 2, 3. Oh, there it is. I wasn't sure what was going on with this counting. See, even when you've got your fabric, even when you've got your fabric gridded, you can still get a bit dozy sometimes with the counting. I find that happens especially if I'm tired. If I'm getting tired, I find it more difficult to count. I'm just going to finish up with these ones. And I think it's time for my break. Just maybe do a few more stitches up here. And that will complete that little ribbon of yellows that goes along there. It's like three stitches of one thread and 3 stitches of the other thread. So I actually feel like I could go on for a lot longer. It's just a pity that I'm going to have to take a break soon because I've really been getting into this and I think I've been on a roll and it hasn't been going too badly. Might as well just do this one last thread here. Just got a few stitches along the top. Then I can honestly say that I've had a good stitching session today. And here we go. Just one more. And that's me done. That's my stitching session today. So let me know what you think. and I want to thank you for joining me. It's been a real pleasure to stitch with you, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.